Yeah. Oh. So good morning, and welcome to the Mindfulness Tree Meditation Community as we gather after Easter and Holy Week, and as Passover is going on right now. And so what we're going to do today as we begin our meditation is I'm going to incorporate the 5 mindfulness trainings into the meditation. Normally the first Wednesday of the month we listen to the recitation, but I thought it might be nice to use that as our opening meditation. So I'll be taking more time between, I'll be sounding the bell and taking some time there. So with that, we prepare for our meditation. And again, inviting the bell. Listen, listen. The sound of the bell calls me back to my true home. And so taking our one seat, we arrive. We arrive in the present moment. No other moment. The past is gone. The future is yet to come. But this is where we arrive. And we settle. Settling our bodies that have been moving in many different directions this morning. And as the body settles, the mind settles too. And we welcome ourselves to our true home. So I invite you to notice your body breathing. And inhale and exhale. And allowing the breath to be the anchor as we listen to the 5 mindfulness trainings. Simply to be present with the trainings. And listening to the words that come from Plum Village. And so Thich Nhat Hanh says the 5 mindfulness trainings are guidelines for how to live our daily lives in a way that nourishes happiness and transforms ill-being. The 5 mindfulness trainings are also the kind of thinking and acting that have the power to heal, which is our chapter that we're beginning today. You can recite them daily or monthly, alone or with a group, to renew your intentions and as an inspiration to practice. So if you wish, you might bring an intention to this time. Listening to the guidelines that give us some opportunity for living. And living with our Buddha nature, our inner goodness. The first mindfulness training, reverence for life. Aware of the suffering caused by the destruction of life, I'm committed to cultivating the insight of interbeing, compassion, and learning ways to protect the lives of people, animals, plants, and minerals. I am determined not to kill, not to let others kill, and not to support any act of killing in the world, in my thinking, or in my way of life. Seeing that harmful actions arise from anger, fear, greed, and intolerance, which in turn come from dualistic and discriminative thinking, I will cultivate openness, non-discrimination, and non-attachment to views in order to transform violence, fanaticism, and dogmatism in myself and in the world. The second mindfulness training, true happiness. Aware of the suffering caused by exploitation, social injustice, stealing, and oppression, I am committed to practicing generosity in my thinking, speaking, and acting. I'm determined not to steal and not to possess anything that should belong to others, and I will share my time, energy, and material resources with those who are in need. I will practice looking deeply to see that happiness and suffering of others are not separate from my own happiness and suffering. That true happiness is not possible without understanding and compassion. And that running after wealth, fame, power, and sensual pleasures can bring much suffering and despair. I am aware that happiness depends on my mental attitude and not on external conditions, and that I can live happily in the present moment simply by remembering that I already have more than enough conditions to be happy. I'm committed to practicing right livelihood so that I can help reduce the suffering of living beings on Earth and reverse the process of global warming. The third mindfulness training, true love. Aware of the suffering caused by sexual misconduct, I am committed to cultivating responsibility and learning ways to protect the safety and integrity of individuals, couples, families, and society. Knowing that sexual desire is not love, and that sexual activity motivated by craving always harms myself as well as others. I am determined not to engage in sexual relations without true love and a deep, long-term commitment made known to my family and friends. I will do everything in my power to protect children from sexual abuse and to prevent couples and families from being broken by sexual misconduct. Seeing that body and mind are one, I am committed to learning appropriate ways to take care of my sexual energy and cultivating loving kindness, compassion, joy, and inclusiveness, which are the four basic elements of true love, for my greater happiness and the greater happiness of others. Practicing true love, we know we will continue beautifully into the future. The fourth mindfulness training, loving speech and deep listening. Aware of the suffering caused by unmindful speech and the inability to listen to others, I am committed to cultivating loving speech and compassionate listening in order to relieve suffering and to promote reconciliation and peace in myself and among other people, ethnic and religious groups, and nations. Knowing that words can create happiness or suffering, I am committed to speaking truthfully, using words that inspire confidence, joy, and hope. When anger is manifesting in me, I am determined not to speak. I will practice mindful breathing and walking in order to recognize and look deeply into my anger. I know that the roots of anger can be found in my wrong perceptions and lack of understanding of the suffering in myself and in the other person. I will speak and listen in a way that can help myself and the other person to transform suffering and see the way out of difficult situations. I am determined not to spread news that I do not know to be certain, and not to utter words that can cause division or discord. I will practice right diligence to nourish my capacity for understanding, love, joy, and inclusiveness, and gradually transform anger, violence, and fear that lie deep in my consciousness. The fifth mindfulness training, nourishment and healing. Aware of the suffering caused by unmindful consumption, I am committed to cultivate good health, both physical and mental, for myself, my family, and my society by practicing mindful eating, drinking, and consuming. I will practice looking deeply into how I consume the 4 kinds of nutriments, namely edible foods, sense impressions, volition, and consciousness. I am determined not to gamble or use alcohol, drugs, or any other products that contain toxins, such as certain websites, electronic games, TV programs, films, magazines, books, and conversations. I will practice coming back to the present moment to be in touch with the refreshing, healing, and nourishing elements in me and around me, not letting regrets and sorrow drag me back into the past, nor letting anxieties, fear, or craving pull me out of the present moment. I am determined not to try to cover up loneliness, anxiety, or other suffering by losing myself in consumption. I will contemplate interbeing and consume in a way that preserves peace, joy, and well-being in my body and consciousness, and in the collective body and consciousness of my family, my society, and the earth. And may we together ponder and practice these trainings for the good of ourselves, for our communities, and for the world. So thank you for your practice. And as we move to walking meditation, I'm just going to read from I'm reading from the book, No Mud, No Lotus, just what Thich Nhat Hanh says about walking meditation. He says, our daily lives, we have the habit of running. We seek peace, success, and love, but we are always on the run, and our steps are one means by which we run away from the present moment. But life is available only in the present moment. Peace is available only in the present moment. Taking a step and taking refuge in your step means to stop running. For For those of us who are used to always running, it is a revolution to make a step and stop running. We make a step, and if we know how to make it, peace becomes available in that moment of touching the earth with our feet. It would be a pity to let a whole day pass without enjoying walking on the earth. Usually, our in-breath tends to be a little shorter than our out-breath. When you breathe in, you may take 2 steps and say, I have arrived, I have arrived. When you breathe out, you might like to take 3 steps and say, I am home, I am home, I am home. Home means being at home in the present moment, where you can touch all the wonders of life. We should be able to walk with a lot of tenderness and happiness on this beautiful planet. I have arrived, I am home is not a statement, but a practice. Allow yourself to sink deeply into the here and now, because life is possible only in the present. Life is available only in the present moment, and you know that you have the capacity to touch life in the present moment, in the here and now. And so we make a seamless continuity of practice as we move into our walking meditation time.